Sharon's here to speak to us tonight about the power of partnership beyond water. This is a project across East Africa, and it provides cleaner drinking water and sanitation facilities for the people in that area. The presentation tonight, I think, is going to show us how Rotary has helped help the lives of thousands of people in East Africa. So without any further ado, can I hand over to Sharon?
Thanks for having me. Unfortunately, my husband is out on an airport run with a visitor, so you've just got me tonight, so you'll have to put up with me. So I'm a Rotarian. Pete and I are Rotarians. We are married. We have 2 grown girls, a son-in-law, and 4 grandkids. There you go. Good timing there. So the ones on the right are living in Australia, and our oldest daughter, Liz, lives with us here in Kenya, where we have been based for 13 plus years now. So tonight I'm going to share about the power of partnership. And it's always good for Rotarians to see where the projects are getting done, what they're doing. And so I'll share a little bit of our story. Now, a Rotarian many moons ago said, look, your story isn't lining up with the photos. And I'm like, use your imagination. There we go. So I'm just going to say how we started it. We were living in Australia. We lived there for 11 years, living right by the beach in the northern beaches of Sydney. And we were bored. And I was running a conference and met a young man from England. James was this little short guy. He was 20-something, long beard, long dreads, and he was trying to sell bottles of water for $20. And my husband Pete said to him, what are you going to do at the end of this conference with this whole concept? Because 5,000 children a day die from waterborne diseases. So you better be coming up with some strategy. And he said, I'm going back to England to get married, to do my PhD, which he's done. Well, he got married and had kids. He never finished his PhD. So basically what happens, we just started it. We started with a few board members in Australia, but now we have an operation in New Zealand, the US, but our main team is here in Kenya. All of our board members are volunteers. The only people who get paid are our staff, and our staff are all locals. So we came here in 2012 because we needed to build a local team. Our focus areas are schools, medical clinics, and remote communities, and I'll share about those. But we're not just in Kenya, where we've been living for all this time. We're also in Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, South Sudan, and the DRC. It all depends on who's having war, elections, and where the funds are at and where the necessary projects are. So this is just some of our local team, and you'll see there's 3 young women down here on the left. They're actually graduates of our programs. We employ local, we train local, live local, and buy local. So our projects are going to be discussed tonight, but when you think about it, we're not coming in and saying, as a foreigner, this is how we do something. What we do is we say, what do you think the problem is? What do you think the solution is? And how can we assist you? It's all about empowerment. Most people think, wow, they're just kind of dum-dums. Well, actually, East Africans are very clever people. They're just very under-resourced. So let's take a look at some of the areas that we work in. This is in northern Uganda. Now, these are my photographs, so I can verify that they're real. They're not Hollywood stuff or anything like that. The yellow jerry cans take about 20 litres of water, and they weigh 20 kgs. Everybody has them, even in our apartment here. We have one just in case the water runs out. We call these the iPhone of Africa because everyone has them. Water is a huge issue. I know that you guys are, if you go a few days without rain, you're in a drought, but we can have droughts that last for 7 years. But generally we have 2 rainy seasons, which is April, a little bit of May, and December. So we started putting in simple hand pumps. This is one of our earlier ones. It was donated from a school in Australia. These cater for about 600 people. Very simple, very easy to do. But now here in Kenya, they're very expensive. So we're going to be doing them in South Sudan. We do a lot of community training. This is my husband, Pete, on the left. He's not chopping off somebody's arm, as a school teacher once thought. He's actually showing somebody about the straightness of wood, because you don't really get that here. So he works alongside our building team, and it's been the hardest team to try and build up because quality of work here is very substandard. So we've spent a lot of time working along some local guys building up our team there. Our big focus is on schools. Only 30% of schools across East Africa actually have any form of a toilet. And I'll show you what a typical school toilet is like in a rural area. Now, cities are quite different than the country, and we work mainly in the country areas. This is your typical staff toilet and also a student toilet. This was a staff one. I've used that. There were no rats or snakes in this one, so that was quite good. But what we build builds to last. So we make sure we use good brick, Colorbond roofing, steel doors, Asian pans, which are the ceramic squat pans. So this is what it might look like there. We put a water tank out the front so the kids can get water off the roof, and that's what they use to wash the toilets as well as washing their hands. These are not cheap to do anymore. As we know, everything around the world has gone skyrocketing in price, but we build them to last. And this is our typical block that we might build here, and it lasts about 20 years. They're still pit latrine, so that it's a squat toilet. It's an example of what we call Asian pans. But we don't use flush toilets unless the government requires it. In some places like Rwanda, where a lot of schools it's a requirement. Culturally, squat toilets, we call them latrines, are very well accepted. Our nice white porcelain thrones that we are used to sitting on, they either break them or they just don't last. So that's what we build them like. That takes about a month to build a block of toilets. Once we do that, we also, because we've obviously done community assessment, is that we put in water tank and guttering. These are 10,000 litre tanks. We buy them locally. We have agreements with Rototank who deliver them for free and give us a very good price. This is proof that we do get rain here, because when it rains, it really rains. But when it's sunny, it's really sunny. This is in northern Uganda. It's another viewpoint on the toilets. You see that we put a privacy wall in, obviously, so that not everybody can see, especially the girls going into the toilets there. So they're well ventilated. And when the toilets fill up, which, like I said, takes about 15 to 20 years, we have what's called exhausters, which are big trucks that come in, exhaust out the waste and put it on the shamba, which is the garden. We also put in guttering, because you'll often see schools with either no guttering in a tank or huckery old guttering that's never going to work. And quality of wood is not great here, so it can be quite hard to get the fall of the water coming down. But we found these very effective, very simple projects. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're just doing what we can to make sure schools have water and toilets. When that whole project is done, and it can take a considerable amount of time because we only start a project when we have the money, is we have a very fun health education day. That's drama, singing, learning how to make hand soap, all about the importance of hand washing. This is not, you know, when COVID came along and there was the like wash your hands, well, washing of hands here, we were really, really good at that. But what if your school of 1,000 students had no water? So there's no water to wash the buildings or the toilets with, nothing to wash your hands with. And this is a for real scenario. The kids form a health education club. They might often call it a hygiene club, which is really weird, or an environment club. And their job is to make sure the toilets are maintained. And we put in desktop water filters. So Nazava are a company that work here, and some Rotary clubs have been sponsoring these desktop filters, and we put the name of the Rotary Club on a sticker that goes on the desktop filter. And so Nazava come in and teach the kids not to over scrub them, because the World Health Organization approved, and we want to make sure that they last as long as what they should do. And we also distribute underwear. We never could buy children's underwear in the country, and we found that most kids did not have any, maybe just one pair of undies. So we came up with the Undercover Angels program, and this is where a lot of Rotary clubs got involved. They would go to their department stores and buy the multi-pack of little pink panties like you see here, and we would distribute them. Now we can actually buy them in country, which is fantastic. We were trying to figure, can we make them, but now we can actually buy them. And so some clubs are working towards that, which is great. Rather than bringing in 1,000 pairs of little pink panties through the airport, trying to convince corrupt officials that they're for personal use, we don't have to worry about that now. So some clubs have been making donations because they're quite cheap to do it that way. This is a really big project I want to share about, which is called the Goswami Health Centre. It's about 5 hours drive from here in Nairobi. Dr. Tonya Hawthorne came 19 years ago from the States. She's a board certified doctor, and she came to start a clinic that was catering for 30,000 Maasai people. Women would walk for 8 hours, give birth, have a cup of tea and go home again. The roads have improved, so sometimes they catch a piki, which is a motorbike, but there was no electricity or water, and it started in this one room, and now it's expanded to a huge hospital that caters for this whole entire area, mainly for maternal health care, but also obviously accidents and emergencies. So they might have a vaccination program that 700 people turn up with their babies to be vaccinated. There was no water, no electricity, so what did they do for water? Dr. Tonya, who's now well into her 60s, would go to the local river and bathe there. For medicine, they would have to buy in water tanks full. When volunteers came, they would have to bring their own water with them. It's not an ideal situation, but when you're on the grassroots situation there, you have to do what you can do. So this is a few meters from the hospital, and as you see, it's a seasonal river. So my husband Pete said to her, Tonya, you concentrate on building the hospital, we'll concentrate on the water. It may take us quite a few years, but we'll get there so you can become self-sufficient. So we started with one water tank and then a few more, which was absolutely fantastic, but it wasn't enough. So this hospital now has 37 staff. It has an on-site ward. It has a nursing institute that's going to be built very soon, but only was possible because some Rotary clubs assisted with us to do a deep bore well. We put in a solar powered deep bore well, so they drilled and hit water very high. So she went from 0 water to 10,000 litres per hour, which is massive amounts of water. It's all solar powered. You see the beautiful weather that they have there. So they will never run out. But there were 2 problems. Number one, there was too much water. And if you don't use a borehole enough, it can really stuff it up. So across the road was the 1,000 students who had no water. So we've piped across there, and we've also installed 90,000 litres of tanks there. And some clubs helped us put in a reverse osmosis system. This primarily came from a club in Hong Kong. This was the beginning of it. So it was double the amount of fluoride and double the amount of iron. Now, iron's not too bad, but fluoride will strip the teeth and the bones of calcium, which is really no good when you're looking after children. So we were able to put that in, and it's almost on solar. We've got a little bit more work to do there. It also has some under the desktop reverse osmosis system. So they are now set up, and because of that, they were able to build a ward, have a washing machine. All the staff could have indoor plumbing for the first time ever. They were able to, like I said, cater for all the emergencies there, but they're also now having a 50-student nursing institute that will kick off next year simply because of water. The last project I want to share about is called the Girl Project. This is our leadership and mentoring project that also has over 300 girls across mainly in Kenya, but also Rwanda and northern Uganda. And so instead of just becoming a distribution centre for sanitary products, because we didn't want girls prostituting themselves, we wanted to have a leadership program, because poverty is not just in your surroundings where your parents earn a couple of dollars a day. It's also in your mentality. Yes, we do distribute sanitary products, so toilet paper and sanitary pads. We don't use reusable ones because we work in areas where there primarily is no water. And so we bring in guest speakers, and we started out just with Rotarians talking about their vocation, some of the life values they've learned and all that kind of thing. But we've had bloggers, doctors, we have had fashion designers, radio announcers, all sorts to inspire these girls, because they live in a 3 by 3 meter shack where they share one toilet with 600 other people. Very little electricity in the area. This is 10 minutes from here. It's called the Kibera slum. So this is was our pilot project. So we thought we'll figure everything out on that. And it's actually just been going for 10 years now. So it's all run by local leaders. And these girls, we only can have one member of each family, but they get food as well. And for some of them, it's the only meal they would have either that day or for a few days. Where I'm sitting in is our office, and we do food distribution from here with family visits. So our visitor that's coming in from America now, he's going to be going in to visit a family there this week and see how the power of a few dollars of groceries can last a family. We've known families who haven't eaten for a week. And we had one girl come and she said, I haven't eaten for 3 days. Thank you for the food that you gave us. So it really is amazing, that program there. Now, you see these computers here. These are donated by a Rotarian in Canberra, Australia. His name is Pat Kelly, and he refurbishes Apple computers. And so when we go to Australia, we pick a few up and we run a computer course in the holidays in this office where I'm sitting now. They learn Word, Excel, PowerPoint, how to set up a business, presentation, how to write a CV, everything like that. And it's just a simple thing that can make a huge difference. It just builds confidence in these girls. They've heard about computers, they've heard about the internet, but they've never been on it. Their families earn $2 a day, and that has to be split between rent, school fees, food, water, clothing. So this is a really good experience for them, and it's making a huge difference. So there's our main projects that Rotary has made a huge difference: water and sanitation. But people ask, well, what do you guys do? Yes, we're Rotarians. Our club is meeting this week. We are hybrid, so both Zoom and face-to-face. But what we did a couple of years ago, we started Pedal Against Poverty, which was cycling the 1,500 kilometres, the 1,000 miles, the length of the North Island of New Zealand. So there's a few Rotarians that joined us on the way. My husband's in the bright orange jacket there, and the other one who is wearing a helmet, his name's John. Was well into his 70s, and he's a fitness freak. But they joined us, and then other Rotarians came in for a day or a few days. It just gave us an opportunity to do something different. And then last year, my husband did a solo ride of the South Island of New Zealand, which is another 1,500 kilometres, totally unsupported. So that was quite incredible that he did that. And so our board member from America who flew in tonight, he and Pete are going to do New Zealand again, but then we're also going to do Scotland in 2027. So that's when I'm hearing about your weather, I'm like, okay, is June going to be okay, or, or what? But it's something different than a black tie event or a gala or something big when you don't have many people involved. It brings people in who might not ordinarily know about BeyondWater or Rotary or anything, but they go, I'm cycling for a purpose. So that is very, very cool. And obviously we have partnerships wherever we go. And people say, where do you get your money from? Well, like you guys, fundraising is tricky. So we have a lot of Rotary clubs that will go for district grants. We've got a couple of global grants happening at the moment between here and Rotary Club in Florida. I just had a club that I did a presentation to the other day in Australia, and they're like, oh, we've got, end of Rotary year, here's $1,000. I'm like, this is fantastic, because little bits sure add up. And so that's where it comes from. Interact is a big one. We have some Interact students that do pizza and trivia nights every year, and we have lots of mum and dad. So the girl project only costs £40 a year to have a girl in that project. That covers rent, the staff on the day, the food, the sanitary products, things like that. And then you can go right up to, obviously the big projects there. So I just wanted to show you tonight about how Rotary is not just like us. We had a dream to give one child clean drinking water, but every day through our partnerships, 240,000 people have access to clean drinking water and sanitation facilities. And that's literally a drop in the bucket, but it was way more than what we could ever envision. A couple of weekends ago, we held the 10th anniversary of the Girl Project. We brought in 50 girls and a parent from our project 10 minutes up from here, and then another hour away in Kasarian. They were able to showcase their work. We had partners, we had Rotarians there. And because of a Rotary Club, we were able to give every single one of those families a food parcel that will keep them going for at least 2 weeks. It had rice, oil, beans, flour, salt, sugar, tea, all the basics that Kenyans would have. And they were just like so astounded that that could happen. That's like $1,000 worth of food that we're able to give because of a tiny little club in New Zealand that said, look, we've got a little bit of money, we want to throw it at that. So that's, again, the power of partnership. So that's me. Any questions from you? So a couple of things that we want to do is we want to build trust back into African charitable works, because there is a lot of mistrust, and some of it very rightly so. A previous district governor some time back of our district here, which is I can't remember what it is now, 9212. He decided that he was going to walk off and go on holiday with the $10,000 grant. And Rotary said, well, you guys aren't doing anymore. And so I think maybe for at least 5 years there were no global grants allowed to. And so we're like, okay, BeyondWater, we hold the checkbook, we quality of work, and we make sure if somebody says, I give X amount of dollars for that, that's what it goes to. And we show them with photos and video.
Right.
The Rotary Club of Aviation, so Ian, he's up in Scotland somewhere. He got all his plane buddies to donate, I think it was £200 equal to that. And it was like $15,000. And it was for a whole school project. Remember I said there was this school that had 1,000 kids and no water. Well, with that money, we were able to put in tanks, guttering, all sorts of things there. So I was on the ground and I was videoing every day and then sending them YouTube links every night, because it was a lot of money, and that's what we do. So I even say Rotary clubs, hey, even if you give us £20, when I'm in your neck of the woods again, I'll come and, and before that I'll show you, but it's always good to build relationship, because a lot of people will come to clubs like Rotary and they'll say, oh, please give me more. But it's actually about relationship, and it's about the power of working together. And we have a Rotary Club in Hong Kong, Golden Mile, that I met at convention one year. And they gave us a bit of money. We showed them where it went. And because of that, they gave us another couple of grants, which was really awesome. But in a few months, I'm heading to Australia to do some work there with my grandkids and schools and Rotary clubs. And I'm going to stop in at Hong Kong because it's on the way. And we're going to go say hi to these guys that are, even yesterday we're fundraising for our Girl Project through their big events. So, and I think that's really important. And Rotary has been bad at accountability. Now we're really good at it. And I'm very pleased with that.
Yeah. Okay, can I ask, Sharon? I mean, obviously, there are parts of the country that in Kenya, for instance, obviously where you are an office building, you've got electricity, you've got all these amenities. I just find it really, really hard to understand why just 10 minutes up the road, you've got situations that you've been describing to us. So is there ever any support from the local government to, improve things for people?
I think a lot of people go, we're recording this, so I better be careful. A lot of people go into politics with good intentions, but it's a systemic thing. Here, corruption is huge. I was talking with my taxi driver tonight. We were actually at a funeral service for somebody I know, and then I caught a taxi home. And I was describing what it was like overseas, of like, at least if you have taxes, your money, a lot of it goes into your resources. It doesn't happen here. We don't rely on our government because nothing will ever get done. But we do believe in networking. So we work alongside people and that's a sad thing. You won't see advertised these amazing organizations who are transforming the lives of thousands of people, but it's happening. So again, I think there's good intentions. As a grassroots organization here, as soon as you become famous, everybody wants the money, and we have a zero tolerance to corruption. If we wanted to, we could get to know the president and get buddies with him, but it's not what we're about.
No. And do you work with other charities? Because there's obviously WaterAid, and there's there's major charities that do similar work that you're doing. So do you work alongside them to improve things?
We have tried. Now, when we first started out and we were living in Australia, nobody in Australia was just concentrating on East Africa with water. It was always child sponsorship and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but here we've tried, but the big guys don't want to know us. But what we do is we do consult sometimes. So if, for example, a Rotary Club in Australia wanted to do something here, about 8 hours drive from here. And so we went out there and assessed it for them. So we prefer to do that. I would love to see more of that. And the thing is, we're based on the ground. We're not, a visitor that comes for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Gets the selfies and see you later. We're here, and its development work is very slow, can be very painful sometimes. And there are issues that can only be dealt with because you've got cultural issues, all sorts of things. We don't have racial issues here or tribalism or anything like that. And because our money has to go on our projects, not on our overheads. And that can be a difference. We visited, I'm not going to name who they were, but a couple of months ago we had some Aussie visitors here and took them to where their child sponsorship program was. And even they were like, I cannot believe our money is going to these amazing multi-story buildings, flash house vehicles and aeroplanes. And I go, well, that's not what we do. We don't operate like that. So Pete and I, we are self-funded. We have friends and family that give towards us to live off. So our project goes to projects. We don't take overheads. We don't have management fees, and we pay our staff, and they don't get paid that well, I'm telling you, but they're passionate about changing lives. So.
Okay, thank you for that. Anybody else? Any other questions for Sharon?
So can I just go back, Sharon? So do you think it's best to go for district grants rather than for global grants?
It depends on the people resources that you have. For us, on our end, the biggest problem is finding Rotary clubs here you can trust. There's only 2 clubs that I would ever go through here in Nairobi. So that for us took years and years. But for another club, you've got to look at, have you got somebody that can walk you through it, do it all? I have nothing against global grants. I think they're fantastic. But you just have to say, I've got somebody in the club dedicated to writing those grants and going through all the paperwork and making sure it's all done and checking it. So if you can do that, I think it's great. I just encourage smaller clubs. Our club is a small club as well. We've got 15 people on a good day. And so I know what it's like. But small clubs are powerful clubs. We kind of underestimate that. But I think district grants are a good way just to get into the rhythm of that and maximize on your money. But it's really up to who you've got in the club.
Yeah, I certainly think it's maybe as a club we applied for our first district grant last year. Our issue with district grants is that we have to what's the word I'm looking for?
Match.
Thank you. We've got to match, and if we don't have that facility to do a lot of fundraising, it limits us as to what we can do. But it's certainly something that we can maybe give a bit of consideration to. Okay.
What I've found with some online clubs, I'll just finish with this, is using online giving facilities. So what we did with Rotary Aviation E-Club is that we built a site, because we have those facilities that we can do, a website just for them. And so each member went out and their challenge is to raise £200 each. So you can set whatever goal. And so people, their friends and family, because people give not because they're necessarily passionate about a project, but they go, oh, Joyce, I know Joyce, I want to help her out and give her £5 toward her. That's what I would suggest for e-clubs, because it's the easiest way, is using online platforms, having a specific project, not too big. You want something that's £50,000 or whatever. Just start with something small, and people go, oh, and that's what we did with the cycling as well, is we just built an online platform. People all around the world could give, and now, like the guy who's flown in now, He's got his cycling event happening in Houston, and he raises wads of money, and they go like 20 miles and we go 1,000. So he's found what works for him. So I would use an online platform for you guys.
Okay, thank you for that. Well, Sharon, on behalf of the club and the members, can I just say thank you very much for a really interesting insight as to the work that BeyondWater are doing, obviously in East Africa. And can I just ask the members to show their appreciation in the usual way?
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay,
And
no, thank you. Thank you, Sharon.
when we come to Scotland, I'll give you a call.
Yes, please do. Please do. Okay, thank you again.